But the point is, when you're in scarcity mode, you're constantly selling yourself short. So you started to work for your own, and most probably you dreamt of a life full of freedom and joy. But you slowly realized that feeling successful might have been easier in your 9-to-5. And you might always run into the same catch-22. Potential clients want to deal with experienced and successful business owners, but what if you aren't successful or experienced yet? So how can you think like a successful solopreneur before you actually are one? In today's video, I'll run you through my favorite questions to help you act and feel more successful, even though you might not be 100% there yet. So are you ready? Let's get right to it. Question number 1. What does success mean to me? So many people out there will tell you that this is about hitting vanity metrics. And I mean online and offline, right? I mean the same people who would rather see your follower count than what it is that you actually stand for are the same people who would check out if you would drive a fancy car or have a nice title on your business card. You want to get really clear about what it means for you to be successful, because this will influence your business decisions even though you cannot see that right now. Let me tell you the story of Hannah. She's a restaurant owner who wanted her staff to wear cool branded shirts outside their work so she could get some free advertisement. She had hired a super hip designer and had a clear idea about the quality of these shirts. But the shirts were out of stock for quite some time, and Hannah began to feel a little bit impatient. So when the provider updated their website and she could see that the shirts were back in stock, she started to buy all of them. And I mean it, she bought up all of the stock. So when I asked Hannah in a calm minute what all of this was about, she told me that launching her business was so stressful that she needed to feel a sense of loyalty from her staff. And when she saw these shirts were back in stock, she wanted to get as many of them as possible. Hannah would eventually see that having a loyal staff would make her feel extremely successful. And she would immediately understand that there's more to loyalty than giving out cool t-shirts. And Hannah's story is no isolated case. I had another client who was so protective of her word that it got into the way of putting herself out there and creating a consistent brand. And another one who would only try out new things in her business if she was 100% sure she couldn't fail. So the point is, success is a feeling and it means different things to different people. And you want to know what it means to you so it doesn't get into the way of building a meaningful business. So let me know in the comments below, what does success mean to you? Question number 2. How does my attitude affect my results? One thing that I wish everyone would know is your attitude is one of the most important assets in your solopreneur life. If you're leading with that feeling of not being enough, this will surface at some point of your journey, and it will get into the way of growing a meaningful business. I once had a conversation with a yoga teacher who told me he had a tough time giving out his playlist, arguing that his playlist was his work and it took him so much time to put it together. And when his students ask him for the list, he gets a little worked up about it. And I was pretty surprised and asked him, do you think that people would take the playlist and continue practicing without you? And he answered, well, I hope not. I don't think so. And I said, well, you're right, because people don't come here to listen to your playlist. And if you have one or two who would come for the music, which would be quite strange, then it would be best for them to leave the spots for people who come here to practice with you, right? A few days later, he shared the list with his students. They then shared the list with some friends and ended up attracting more people to the class. Point being, when you're in scarcity mode, you're constantly selling yourself short. And worse, you're not in a mode to really connect with others or see the situation for what it really is. But there's a way you can challenge yourself here. When you realize that you feel a little bit worked up before taking a business decision, you want to ask yourself, Am I seeing this situation for what it is? Or are my feelings tainting my vision? And when you recognize, well, yes, maybe they are, you can always ask yourself, what could this situation be without that feeling? What kind of potential might this situation bear? Which brings me to question number 3. Which points of friction are limiting my results? So we all have high hopes and dreams, especially when we start to work for our own. When things don't go the right way from the very beginning, it might just be easy to say things like,
people just don't want to buy right now. Oh, this market just doesn't work. People are just not ready for my product or my service.
But instead of throwing away all that hard work, you want to start thinking about your business in versions and iterations. Because the truth is, there are no overnight successes. I have seen solopreneurs who have been using complicated payment systems for their customers for years. And when they realized and fixed it, sales doubled. I've seen clients hire friends and families to their team, even though they might not have been the right people for the job. And after having some honest conversations, things started to go well. And I've seen people who have had fantastic products and services, but they've gone after the wrong target audience for years. And just when they adjusted their audience, they began to make a profit. And here's how to learn to think in iterations. First of all, you have to look at your business like a system. And then begin to ask yourself, which part is working well? Which parts aren't? What are the main points of friction? Which small tweaks would lead to a smoothly running system? And start acting on your answers. There you go, guys. These were my most favorite questions to ask yourself when you want to feel more successful as a new solopreneur. Most importantly, don't be too hard on yourself when things don't work the right way from the get-go. James Clear once said, "Entrepreneurship is a personal growth engine disguised as a business pursuit." And if you want to learn more about starting a meaningful business, make sure to check out my custom playlist right here. Take care, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.